Breaking news on Hurricane Sandy. I want to go live now to Gary Tuchman in Hoboken, New Jersey. Gary, you're at the eye of one of the worst parts of this storm there. We hear that maybe as many as 20,000 people in Hoboken are still trapped. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, Piers, the news is much more encouraging today than when I talked to you last night, because what we have found is this. The National Guard has arrived. 45 members of the National Guard with 18 huge vehicles. We went with them behind me through the city for 90 minutes tonight. And what we can tell you is the water has receded greatly. And yes, there are still thousands of people in these buildings, but most of them are here because they want to stay. The water is no more than a foot or two deep right now. Old people, elderly people, people who are infirm are still in buildings. We went with the National Guard into these buildings. They asked the people if they wanted to leave. The people said, no, we're happy playing cards. We're happy playing dominoes. They didn't want to leave. Young people, able-bodied people are able now to walk out on foot. So the situation here is no longer dire. We do not regard it right now as a life-threatening situation in Hoboken, New Jersey.
That's great. That's great to hear, Gary. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's great to hear, Michael. There's something about the stoicism of people in these kind of situations that's just always pretty awe-inspiring, actually. And New Yorkers have it. I think New Jersey people have it. A lot of people in America have it, and around the world. But when these things happen, it really is inspiring to see how people react, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a very American thing to do, to pull together. In your first segment, though, your reporter, was it Jason? Was his name? Mentioned that there were people fighting to get on the buses here today, and there was, and I've noticed other people said this. So there's a little more of an edge today than say there was the few days after 9/11, where nobody would push or shove or yell at anybody, nobody would honk a horn, and I think with this. I mean, at least with 9/11, I mean, we knew there was an enemy, there was somebody who did this, Al Qaeda and Bin Laden, whatever. But who did this? Who did this to me? Why am I having to walk 10 miles to work or fighting to get on this bus? Where does my anger go? It's not going to go toward Mother Nature. I'm not going to really be able to deal with that. So,
do you think, from everything you've seen and heard, that the authorities have done enough? Were they prepared enough for this?
Well, they weren't prepared, but only in the sense that they haven't accepted that we are going to have more and more and more of this because of the climate change, until they all get together on that and then work very hard. But also, our infrastructure needs to be upgraded. This hasn't happened. I mean,
I heard earlier Spitzer today on Christian Amanpour, very interesting interview, saying, and he included himself in the part of the blame game here, that successive New York mayors and governors, and indeed in New Jersey and other places, had just not done enough to invest in infrastructure to prevent the unthinkable like this. And actually, if they had done, then maybe the barriers wouldn't have been broken. Maybe hospitals wouldn't be evacuating.
Let me throw something else out there, too. Why in this country do we have private profit-making corporations as our utilities? Why would you put the profit motive in a utility? It makes, and they have a monopoly. I mean, if you're going to have capitalism, then have competing utilities. But if you're not going to do that, then why isn't it a government-run operation? Because anytime you put an entity that has to think about the bottom line, they're trying to think about how to spend as little money as possible. And that's why they're not upgrading. That's why we're still in the 19th and 20th century with our electrical, our grid, and the whole infrastructure. And what's their incentive? Because they have no competition. They're a monopoly. I think that has to change. I think that we've got to get not allow a corporation to be able to control something that affects all of our lives.
Well, a lot of people will be thinking this. Certainly, if they're out of power for another week, they will be really thinking it. Let's just turn to one of the reasons you think this is so important right now in relation to the election, which is the voting. That 90 million Americans simply may not vote next week. And your analysis of this is that the vast majority of those, if they did vote, would probably vote for Barack Obama. It could cost him the election, is your argument.
Yes, and it's not just my analysis. USA Today did a poll in August, and that's where they came up with the prediction of 90 million are not going to vote next Tuesday. But when they asked these people who aren't going to vote, if you had to vote for somebody, who would you vote for? And I think the number was something like 43% said they would vote for Obama, and 18% said they'd vote for Romney. So clearly, the non-voters are easily 2-1 or 3-1 in favor of Obama. So the real challenge, I think, and this is what I thought, because I sent this out to my Twitter followers and Facebook and all this, and I've got, in between my mailing list, my email list, I've got about 5 million people on these various social media things, and I just said to all of them today, can you do me a favor? in the next 5 or 6 days, identify one person that you know, we all know somebody, who isn't planning on voting, and convince them to vote. Get them to vote. If we all took that as our mission for the next 6 days, I'm going to get one non-voter to vote. And I think that this could add easily another 1 million votes for Obama. We always talk about the likely voters in these polls. We don't talk about the unlikely voters. And I would look at this if I were a politician. I'd say, wow, there's 90 million untapped votes there. What can I do?
It's an amazing statistic. Let's take a final break. Stick around.
Yeah.
We'll be back after this.